Attention! This is UNPSC emergency guidance recording L1-61. If you are listening to this, you are most likely suffering from one or more of the following conditions: a sense of displacement, disorientation, memory loss, ataxia, and visual auditory hallucinations. Please remain calm. You are experiencing the adverse effects of prolonged exposure to the Pechorsk Radius. This recording was placed here by the UNPSC to guide affected personnel to safety. Inside this emergency cache, you will find a basic survival kit that will get you to the nearest research outpost. Enter the fog to find it.
If you've never experienced acute psychosis, then congratulations, you've obviously lived a good life, and it might be a surprise to you to find out that there are in fact a number of ways you can induce the psychosis experience. If you decide to simply not sleep for 3 days straight, this is not medical advice, please don't do this, eventually you'll start to wonder things like, who are these shadow people? And why are the police outside?
Here, lads.
Hands up! This is the police!
Oh.
You can also get this experience by taking large amounts of stimulants. Don't ask me how I know this, and please don't actually do that. However, if you'd like to know what psychosis is like without putting your health in too much danger, then you just need a VR headset and a copy of this game, Into the Radius. I've put countless hours into this game since it released on the PSVR 2, and I'm still not sure exactly what the hell is going on, or even why. All I know is, the shadow people must die. Wikipedia defines psychosis as a condition of the mind or psyche that results in difficulties determining what is real and what is not. Symptoms may include delusions and hallucinations. Additional symptoms are incoherent speech and behaviour that is inappropriate for a given situation. There may also be sleep problems, social withdrawal, lack of motivation, and difficulties carrying out daily activities. And frankly, that could have been the synopsis for this game. Into the Radius is weird, and it's scary. The enemies are all shadow people, and to make matters worse, there are all these shadow statues scattered around everywhere, which makes working out which terrifying silhouette staring out of a window at you is actually a threat sometimes a bit challenging. And honestly, I've found that even the weakest type of enemy is responsible for most of the jump scares I receive playing this game, because sometimes they're almost bloody invisible, especially at night, and often you won't notice these shadow bastards creeping up on you until they are making demonic noises right in your face. From what I can actually gather, some kind of unspeakable disaster was triggered, and for some reason we are one of the few people able to go into this area. So we're working as a mercenary, going into the messed up areas and completing missions. And while this game seems to get lumped into the post-nuclear disaster genre of games, I find it very hard to believe that nuclear anything caused all this. Gravity and time seem to have been affected, and I'm reasonably suspicious that it has something to do with the massive fucking thing in the sky. The story itself though is probably not that important, and you won't have much time to worry about it in between the heavy breathing and the heart palpitations. This game is hard. I've died a lot, and I'm only playing on normal mode. And there's a harder mode, and a mode that stops you from manually saving the game.
Wow.
So you can't do what I definitely don't do and rely on saving your game every 2 minutes to bail you out when you inevitably make a mistake and die.
Oh, mate, you fucking trolled me.
You can, I believe, tweak the difficulty settings to your liking if you are struggling, which I fully support. Games should be accessible to everyone. But I would recommend at least giving it a go on the normal difficulty, because it really makes you think about how you are approaching situations and planning your excursions carefully. Very little is explained or suggested to you, which means you have to use your brain a fair bit more than in most games. And the AI of the enemies is really good for the most part. They will hunt you down, change locations after an engagement, and constantly catch you off guard. At this point, you might be wondering what the point is. What makes this weird, scary psychosis simulator fun to play? Well, firstly, it has that super addictive gameplay loop similar to the Saints and Sinners games. The cycle of preparing yourself at a safe location to venture out into the dangerous areas, to get loot, complete missions, and then go home to the safe place to do it all again, just works in VR games. Now, in my last video, I said the backpack system in Saints and Sinners should be an industry standard, and I still think that's true, as it's simple and polished. The backpack system in this game, however, is more like a Lord of the Rings Extended Edition Director's Cut of backpack systems. You're free to place your items however you like inside the bag space, and it actually makes inventory management almost like a fun mini-game of Tetris. There's tons of loot to find and sell or buy from the shop with money you've earned from missions or selling loot. There's these weird anomalies everywhere that really hurt you if you stumble into one, but where you can find them, you can also carefully venture into areas filled with them to find artifacts, which are always useful. Some of them have effects that can really help you out, like health regen or leaving visible footprints behind you so you can easily find your way back through a field of anomalies. Mostly you'll want to get the artifacts to sell though, as they are all very valuable when selling to the store. Cash is king, and you'll spend most of your time trying to earn more of it just to feed your gun's addiction to ammo. And the fact that I got to this point in the video without mentioning what is hands down the greatest and most addictive part of this game is quite shocking. It's the guns. My lord, the guns in this game. The attention to detail is absurd. I'm honestly not even going to do them justice, you have to experience it yourself. They have never felt more real to me than in this game. You need to have individual magazines for all your guns, which on its own is a step up from pretty much every other VR game. And you have to load those magazines yourself, even going as far as being able to load each bullet individually by hand. There's different types of ammo with pros and cons to using them. The guns have the right safety and firing modes, and you have to clean and maintain your weapons to keep them operating well, and avoiding an ill-timed weapon jam. When you're out in the radius, you have to manage all those different aspects and think about when to engage or when to preserve ammo. How much ammo are you bringing with you? When to stop and reload your empty magazines? Sometimes you might get caught off guard and your survival will come down to a tiny decision like trying to keep your empty magazine or saving a split second by potentially sacrificing that magazine. And that's what this game does better than any other. At every turn it's forcing you to think in a more realistic, less video gamey manner. And while VR gaming still seems to be very much in its infancy, this game is just another piece of evidence that we are rapidly approaching the end of that infancy. And I for one cannot wait to see what VR's wild partying teenage years bring us. Thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Psychosis Patient Zero, and if you never hear my voice again, may your roads lead to warm sands, friend. If somehow you've gotten to the end of this video, even if it's because you're doing the washing up or dealing with a small demon child, please subscribe. It really makes doing this worthwhile. So until we meet again, goodbye, kind stranger.